Hello, boys, babes, and all of you beings in between. What is up, and welcome back. We are back with another All the Blocks series, and we are working with a lovely, lovely new palette today. Now, for those unaware of the rules with this series, we have the rules of people give me block palettes of 3 to 5 blocks, one of which must be able to be crafted into stairs and slabs within that variant. Now, what that means is if you give me stone, I cannot do stone bricks, but I can do stone stairs and slabs. Now, with wood, it's a little bit more lenient, but if you specifically state stripped, I can only use the stripped variant of that block. I can still use the planks. Now, last time, someone gave me a lovely, lovely collection of block palettes in the comments. Baby Moose, thank you very much. But I spent way too long trying to figure out one of the palettes, to the point that I am several days late on this video done, and I made 8 different variants of that specific palette before I kind of gave up on it. And we moved on to a different palette that they offered. That palette is stripped spruce, pink terracotta, regular nether brick, orange, glass, and mushroom, specifically the brown mushroom block. Now, looking at that palette, it's very Halloween-y in energy. It's very spooky almost when you put them all together. Like, it makes me specifically think of like a Halloween sign or a costume or something that they would use for decoration in elementary schools where I grew up. Now, that palette specifically made me think of the taiga biomes, specifically the old growth where you got all the podzoil and all the mossy cobblestone. That just for some reason felt right. It felt earthy, but it also felt spooky, and it also felt very fall, because that palette does have a very fall tone, warm tones to it, and so I picked that out. But then I also didn't realize that that's where the super cute black wolf dogs are. They're so cute. I haven't played with them yet in the current versions. I haven't explored to look for them, but now I have to go find one because it is so stinking cute, and I didn't realize I was missing out on them. Completely distracted. But I felt like the podzoil was a very nice texture and touch, especially given that we were using spruce, and overall it just felt like a good environment. Now, a friendly reminder to always make sure you're not building too big, and that was one of the problems I was running into. I ended up actually doing 2 to 3 builds with this palette before I finally was like, oh, I'm building too big, that's why it's not working. And so I scaled it down to make it work. Now, the energy that I specifically felt like going with was one of like an apothecary / witch hut, where you like they're integrated into the social circles of the area they're in, but they do have their specialty and they're still doing their practice. And I wanted to go with like somebody here sells and makes potions, and so I tried to give that specific energy with this build, which we are going to see as it comes out, as I 3D printed out with the lovely, lovely tool of Lightmatica, which is the easy place button. If you haven't checked it out, it's super nice if you like to build ahead of time in your creative worlds and then bring it into your survival worlds, especially if you're building at exceedingly large scales. I do it with this for the ease of recording. But I really liked the energy and style, and I know we did something very similar with like a fantasy style build already last time, but this is just what came out when I looked at this palette. I was looking for something that was earthy and warm, but also felt like one of those little houses you could walk up on like the end of like a very busy street, and this is like the last one leaving the downtown area of a small town, and it's full of like bottles in the windows, or it's got plants growing all over the place, and I wanted it to feel like this is an old home, it's been here forever, but it's reliable and people always go back because they trust whatever this person is selling, even if it's an odd thing. And so I was then trying to make sure that the energy of the space was giving that, in addition to having a rusticy feeling, having a feeling of someone does live here, someone's been caring for this is a beloved home, and making sure it provided all of that energy. And I wanted to also, because I went ahead of time with it, since I did shrink the build down, I was like, oh, I could actually fit some extra detailing on this plot. And so as we get to it, you'll see I add specifically like a little wagon that they would have used to go out and either find supplies or go take deliveries to other places, in addition to adding some like dead tree that's already there that clearly has been there since the house was built, but they just haven't taken it down because maybe it'll come back in spring, maybe, hopefully. But I think that gave it the overall overarching energy of something that is growing and spacious and would provide the things that would be needed for this person to work and create with. But now that it's been fully built, you can see it from this lovely, lovely angle. Once again, this little wagon, it's not much. It's just something that worked well with the spruce, since we could make these look kind of like wheels. Nothing special. I did come back through and mix in more podzoil and coarse dirt in places that had been previously empty due to the fact that podzoil doesn't spread naturally. But we got this lovely little chimney that would be nicer if I could toss in, like, I believe that there is a cracked variant of, yeah, there's a cracked variant of nether brick. I chose not to add it, but if it was added, it just adds some extra texture that makes it feel a little more lived in, old, not run out, but used and living in. But here's our dead tree. I wanted something that felt like it wasn't quite a regular spruce, but it has been here for ages, and they're just kind of protecting it, hoping it will come back. But the space itself is, it's got room for things, and I think one of the things that we're going to add to it as we've now finished this is gardens. But I love the energy of, like, I'm walking up and there's 100% a chance that I'm looking at these signs going, oh, perfect, an apothecary. And I can come in here and shop real quick and peruse. I think we're going to toss in a wall here, because, like, the intention here is this is her kitchen. Let's do this. It's not a very big kitchen, but it is her kitchen, and so she is keeping that slightly separate from here. But then where we the upstairs portion, that's like where she actually lives kind of situation. I 100% will admit that I didn't bother putting windows in the kitchen because I wasn't sure where it was going to look right. But this being her little kitchen space feels right, especially with the fireplace being there, like the cauldron could be hanging there. Let's do this. Let's quickly make some adjustments to this to give it some light so it's not completely dark back here. So one downside of building with mushroom blocks is you misplace it once, you got to redo a whole section. Let's go grab our window panes. That makes it feel a little better. But I can pop in here in just a bit and add some, like, counters and maybe a cauldron that hangs from here. Something like that to provide that energy and space that is needed for that. But 100% there could be more detailing on the interior. I'm not going to do the full interior. I'd rather do the outside right now. But I think this provides a fun space that is good to play with and provides plenty of space to be used as, like, a starter base or something early on, because none of these blocks are particularly hard to get. The nether brick is a bit of a pain just because each of these is one netherrack and then has to be smelted. But in all honesty, in terms of blocks to use as an early building process, this is not terrible, because you can get pinks from the 2 tall flowers, that's easy to get, and then orange can be achieved with daffodils and or the dandelions. Well, the yellow flower and the lovely little poppy / roses or sunflowers. But these are all easy enough things to achieve and get, especially spruce, especially for building in a biome like this. So overall, this is a pretty easy thing to get, other than the mushroom blocks, which do require silk touch. But this definitely is something that can be used as an either early or early-ish base. If you're like me and build mega build, this would be like a mid to transition base. But I think this would be a very easy space to use for that. Now, let's do some small detailing that we can add in real quick. Now, one thing I have not taken full advantage of is there is a lovely new block, or at least I thought there was. There they are. The leaf litter blocks. I have not gotten to play with this yet, but given the environment, this feels like, oh, it does just provide a little bit of extra. Just, it makes it feel a little cluttered. I don't like that it always starts in one of the corners, but it's not bad. And it's not crazy, but it does add a little extra texture, a little extra life. On the pod soil, it's a little harder to see, I will fully admit. But tossing it over here around the tree does feel right. I wish you could have more control over what corner the leaf litter's placed in, though. But it being cluttered around this tree with it does feel right. Yeah, I like that. Okay. The other thing that I want is to keep within the palette as much as I can. Take advantage of some fencing, and we'll... Oops, sorry, Podzoil. We'll not be talking about the area underneath it. It's not fully filled in. A pergola definitely provides that right energy, but doing that makes this like a protected little space. Now, let's get us some of these, and then some spruce leaves, just to give us something that's like growing up and over the fence a bit. It's gotten a little out of control. some like evergreen bushes that live on and against the house. And then definitely some berries that they keep and they grow. What else fits in this area? I know it glows, but I feel like glow lichen definitely provides an energy of a tree that's starting to rot or is exceedingly old. Similar to the way that moss would grow on a tree, this feels right. Ferns! I forgot ferns are an option. Let's toss some more berries in. Okay. Tossing in a couple ferns here and there just to embrace what's already existing in the space. Definitely feels like it's not been the most cared for, but it is loved. I think methodical large fern on each side of the door feels nice. Yeah, this definitely provides something. I feel like tossing in a couple trees here and there would help too. I do think we should also take advantage of the firefly bushes. Tossing a couple of them here and there just for the sake of energy. I do want to sneak a couple underneath here. I am going to admit that I'm a little addicted to firefly bushes. I haven't used them in my survival builds yet, but oh, look at them. Okay, if you're not aware, if you bury some of them, it allows for the particle effects to occur and be seen in spaces that, well, you have one above ground. If you do this and stick a bunch under the ground, you then get the particle effect, because if they can't see light, they make the fireflies, but doing that means that you're gonna get the effect at all times instead of the singular times of it being night. No, I'm wrong. It occurring just at night is also super pretty. Oops. But tossing them in and being able to take advantage of space underneath your build means it forces it to be alive. This doesn't need to be complicated. I think this honestly fulfills a lot of the look we need. We just need to stop letting this whole area be empty and sad. Hold on while I make it less empty and sad. But this is a super easy and quick way to add some life and movement to your base without a lot of effort. And I think it honestly does a world of difference in terms of making it feel alive. And this is super simple, but it's super great. And there are some things I would love to touch up more, but without going beyond the palette, I think this build has probably reached the peak of where it's going to be. I am very happy with it. I would love to, honestly, wait, hold on. Let's go find the puppy dog and make friends. I want one on the wagon. Here, puppy, 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 puppy. Aha, I found you. Come here. Let me love you. Yes. Follow me, please. I've got a friend, I've got a little friend. It's a puppy dog, it's a little puppy dog. I feel like out of default we have to name an onyx or something, but I want it up here. Can you get up here? Hello? Puppy? Come here. Can you sit? Great. This is the peak of decoration, team. This is it. Sticking a puppy dog up as your driver on your wagon. That is it. That is peak decoration right there. I wish the dogs would like lay down if they sit for a long period, so it would look like he's just napping in the wagon. Hi, puppy dog. Wonderful. But yeah, one of the other easy things that this would just 100% be an option for you if you want to like try and replicate this build is I sometimes will mix in barrels into pillars, because then you can have an extra bit of storage that's just available to you as like a quick stash of, hey, I need this out here regularly, so let's go ahead and stick that there. Now, real quick, just so I can have the visual of it, we are going to go through and quickly grow some of these berry bushes that might not be fully grown, just because I want them to look with the color and see that, and I feel like it does definitely add a nice element to the build. Yeah. It's simple. It's not crazy. It's very straightforward. I think it does its job, though. small thing to add that I think would make this whole thing round together quite nicely is a nice little tough patio that exists up here. Just to feel like there was a road here, or there is a road possibility here that can be followed, but tough feels like the right, almost gravel, but almost cobbled kind of road. I think it's nice. But I think that that is everything we're going to be able to do with this efficiently and effectively. I like it. It's super fun. I'm definitely going to try and do a more organic build next time if we get a palette that works for it, or I can pick from a palette that was existing on this video. But I do think this one was a lot of fun, and I honestly might take it and like revamp it for a survival world as a good starter base. It's sturdy, it's safe, it's got space, and I think it'd be a phenomenal build for that. But I will see you all next time. Take care, drink water, and have a phenomenal rest of your day. Goodbye now.